BG is a solo artist, plus he's a member of the Hot Boyz. Turk is a part of the Hot Boyz. Lil Wayne is a part of the Hot Boyz, which will be doing his solo album. And I know y'all all know Juvenile, who is a solo artist, and he's a Hot Boy.
Millennium, you know Russ, he about 40. I'm a little young 24-year-old nigga. You got Juve 18, you got Wayne 16, BG 17, 18. I come to take this game and bring it to me.
And the Source Award winner is Juve! And guess what? I'm gonna get bling bling, baby. Bling bling, baby. New Orleans! I'm taking it home.
There's only a handful of 90s rap groups that have stood the test of time. In this video, we will talk about the historic group that changed hip-hop. Hot Boyz is one of the greatest hip-hop groups in history. Members Juvenile, Lil Wayne, BG, and Turk introduced a whole new style of music to the world. This is their story. CashMoney Records is an American record label founded in 1991 by brothers Bryan "Birdman" Williams and Ronald "Slim" Williams. The label gained widespread success in the late 1990s and early 2000s with the emergence of several prominent artists and rap groups, including the Hot Boyz. The Hot Boyz was a rap group formed in 1997 consisting of Lil Wayne, Juvenile, BG, and Turk. Birdman, formerly known as Baby, alongside his brother, Slim, spearheaded a significant movement in the 90s through Cash Money, playing a pivotal role in establishing New Orleans on the rap music landscape. Slim was more the brains behind the scene and preferred to let his brother, Baby, occupy the spotlight. It was Baby's idea to push bounce music onto the national scene. The brothers formed Cash Money Records back in 1991. They took the name from the Cash Money Brothers gang featured in the film New Jack City, which was a source of inspiration at the time. Hoping to capitalize on the new bounce music phenomenon, which was sweeping across New Orleans at the time, Baby and Slim quickly went to work on recruiting talent for their fledgling record label. Cash Money Records made its entrance with the launch of Kilo G's album titled The Sleepwalker. Kilo was a mere 15-year-old when he marked his debut with Cash Money in 1992. Manny Fresh linked up with the Williams brothers in 1993 to become their in-house producer. And that moment later on proved to be the defining moment for the label and New Orleans hip-hop as a whole.
I got hooked up with Manny. You know, Manny was from downtown, I'm from uptown, and when we collided, we just got with the gang.
The lineup grew to include prominent groups like UNLV and Projects Most Wanted, along with solo artists such as Pimp Daddy, the hook specialist Miss T, and Lil Slim. Bryan Williams himself entered the rap scene with his debut as B32, delivering the track I Need a Bag of Dope in 1993. Lil Slim achieved local success with projects like Hands on My Gun and Time to Murder during his tenure at Cash Money. His enduring impact might be most notable as the individual who brought Lil Wayne into the Cash Money fold. Lil Slim had a long-standing connection with a young Dwayne Carter, as both of them resided in New Orleans' 9th Ward. He introduced the young Dwayne Carter to the Williams brothers, who were impressed and signed him. Christopher Dorsey was a figure of folklore whose life almost withered away due to his consistent use of drugs. Better known as BG, Dorsey was born and raised in uptown New Orleans' 13th Ward. He grew up rapping for fun until one day his barber was impressed enough with his skill that he recommended an audience with two of his other clients, Bryan aka Baby and Ronald "Slim" Williams, the heads of the then fledgling Cash Money Records. They liked what they heard and added him to their tiny roster and agreed to help look after him. After the Dorsey family moved to New Orleans East for a short while, BG went to Abramson High School but soon dropped out at 14. Christopher Dorsey had mastered the art of storytelling depicting life in the rough streets of the 13th Ward of New Orleans Valence and Magnolia. Originally known as Lil Dooney and sometimes Gangsta D, Dorsey was paired with another young rapper and a then 12-year-old from Holy Groove, who rapped on the playground as Shrimp Daddy. Shrimp Daddy was renamed to Baby D, and together with Dooney, became known as the BGs, short for Baby Gangstas. Despite his youth, Dorsey demonstrated a maturity beyond his years, a quality evident on the Bee Gees' 1995 debut album, True Story. Even at a young age, he fearlessly tipped the front line in Cash Money's ongoing feud with crosstown rival Big Boy Records and artist Mystikal. It's interesting to note that before Mystikal rose to stardom with No Limit, he was a local sensation in New Orleans. Shortly after recording his debut, Dorsey faced legal troubles as a juvenile, charged with possession of a firearm, crack, and marijuana. Despite being found guilty on all counts, he was fortunate to receive probation. However, a violation led to a 2-month stint behind bars. On returning home, he was further devastated by the loss of his best friend. Things took a darker turn when he was arrested for possession of 30 Valiums and 2 ounces of weed. This time, his jail term was more prolonged when his original 3-year sentence was reduced to 8 months. BG was released and made a conscious decision to turn his life around, although battling heroin addiction for years. His commitment to music became unwavering, leading to a period of prolific creativity that he has not matched since. In 1996, Cash Money recognized the talent of the maturing teen and decided he would be a solo artist, giving him the BG moniker as Baby D became Lil Wayne. The years saw the release of BG's debut album, Chopper City, an album regarded as one of the hardest gangster rap albums of all time. The biggest draw of the album was Lil Wayne's vulnerability and willingness to lay his vices on the line following an accidental self-inflicted gunshot wound to the chest with his stepfather's firearm. Due to concerns from his mother, Wayne took a hiatus from Cash Money for the subsequent 4 years. Terrence Gray, better known by his stage name Juvenile, began his career in the early 1990s as a teenager with bounce music recordings that made him a local star. He was raised in the Magnolia Projects of uptown New Orleans, Louisiana's 3rd Ward. Juvenile's debut album, Being Myself, was released in 1995 after signing with Warlock Records. The album did not gain much national attention and did not chart, but did fairly well on a local level. With the sour taste of the music industry in his mouth, Juvie relegated his rap career to doings and club gigs whilst working 8-to-5 job during the day. In 1997, after he heard UNLV's Drag Them in the River, he knew he wanted to rap over Fresh's beats. After Lil Yas set up a deal with Baby, Juvie signed and soon after delivered the Soldier Rags album. The same year, the Hot Boyz were formed mainly to capitalize on the fame of BG and newly signed Juvenile, whilst introducing a just-returned Lil Wayne and another new signing, young Turk. Rapper and Baby's nephew, Bulletproof, was an original member but left the group before they released their first album. The name Hotboys was derived from a Magnolia Projects street crew of hustlers and gangsters that ran uptown New Orleans in the late 80s and early 90s. The original Hotboys were Terrence "Gangster" Williams, brother of Cash Money CEO Bryan "Birdman" Williams, Sterling Mosquito, and Dooney. Turk and BG attended the same middle school and would sometime trade some friendly disses. BG at the time was already with Cash Money Records. Magnolia Shorty, who was with Cash Money Records, introduced Turk to Baby and Slim at the DJ in Magnolia, where Turk frequently rapped. They approached Slim, rapped for him, and Slim gave Turk a card, inviting him to the studio. At the time, every rapper in New Orleans wanted to sign with Cash Money because it was the top label. Cash Money had the best groups, like UNLV, the BGs, and PMWs, and Slim was a key figure. Whenever they held concerts, the venues would be packed. Turk and Wayne were the younger and less famous members of the Hot Boyz, so they grew up the closest, sharing hotel rooms and trading bars on songs like I Need a Hot Girl. Every time they went into the studio, Turk, Wayne, BG, and Juvenile always wanted to see who had the best verse. Most of the time, Wayne would wait until everyone else had finished their verses, and then he would step in and try to outshine everyone. Since he was the younger artist on the label at the time, he always wanted to either go first or last. The success of the Hot Boyz debut album, Get It How You Leave, and both BG's and Juvenile's individual success led to CashMoney record label brokering a $30 million distribution deal through Universal Records, thus giving CashMoney Records a wider audience and more resources. The move allowed the New Orleans-based hip-hop label, founded and run by Bryan "Baby" Williams and his brother Ronald "Slim" Williams, to move up to that fabled next level and help propel a quartet of teenage rappers known as the Hot Boyz to megastar status. Immediately following the deal, they released Juvenile's album, 400 Degrees, featuring the hit single, Ha, and the iconic Back That Ass Up, propelling the album to a quadruple platinum status. This success set the stage for a remarkable run in 1999, with 4 consecutive platinum-selling albums. BG's Chopper City in the Ghetto coined the popular phrase, bling bling. The Hot Boyz Guerrilla Warfare album followed, becoming their most successful. Lil Wayne's debut, The Block Is Hot, showcased his talent, as he refrained from using explicit language throughout the entire album. Rounding out the quartet was Juvenile's with G-Code in 2000. Birdman and producer Manny Fresh collaborated as a duo under the name Big Timers, releasing an album that achieved platinum status. Their success reached new heights, leading them to venture into the world of independent filmmaking with the creation of the movie Baller Blockin'. However, beneath the surface, cracks started to appear within the CashMoney Records label. While the previous releases routinely went platinum, suddenly albums were going gold. Instead, the same hype did not surround BG's Checkmate and Wayne's Lights Out in the late 2000s, despite the quality of those records. The trend continued with Turk's debut, Young and Thugging, which went largely forgotten rather quickly. While Juvenile failed to replicate the success of Back That Ass Up on Mama Got Ass off 2001's Project English. While CashMoney was at the top of the rap game, Heroin had its artists at their lowest. BG and Turk consistently missed shows and appearances, getting so high that they often couldn't even make it to video shoots. Baby and Slim's constant attempts to wean the members off of the drugs failed in 2001. Juvenile would leave the label as his Project English was nearing release, and BG would essentially disappear from the public eye for the majority of the year. Turk would finally release his solo debut, but he was on the way out of the door as well. In the late 90s, CashMoney Records was riding high on the success of its biggest star, Juvenile. With his 1998 album 400 Degrees going 5x platinum and the follow-up, Thay G-Code, reaching double platinum status, Juvenile had become a household name in hip-hop. But behind the scenes, tensions were brewing. Juvenile felt he was being underpaid, believing that CashMoney's CEOs, Baby and Slim, were withholding his rightful residuals. His frustration would set off a chain reaction that would ultimately reshape the label and its star-studded roster. In 2001, Juvenile made the decision to leave CashMoney, becoming the first major artist to sever ties with the label. Soon after, fellow Hot Boyz member BG followed suit, citing similar concerns about unpaid royalties. Both artists' departures left CashMoney fractured, stripping the label of its 2 biggest stars and casting doubt on its future. Meanwhile, Turk, another member of the Hot Boyz, chose to stay with the label. But with Juvenile and BG gone, the dynamic had shifted. Rumors of drug issues involving both BG and Turk began to surface. Though without concrete evidence, these whispers remained just that for the time being. Juvie, BG and Turk's exit meant the end of the Hot Boyz, which put their third album, Let Them Burn, in limbo. But where Lil Wayne went on to become a massive solo star, Turk struggled with drug addiction and mostly fell out of doing music. It would later surface in 2003. Both BG and Turk were dogged by serious problems with hard drugs, and each spent long periods incarcerated. Turk served 9 years of a 14-year sentence stemming from the 2004 shooting of a police officer in Memphis. He was released in 2012. Just months before Turk's release, Christopher Dorsey also received his own 14-year sentence to a federal prison for gun possession and witness tampering. Lil Wayne evolved into a force of nature, unleashing a string of classic mixtapes and platinum albums that translated into one of the most successful runs in rap history for an artist. All the while, he was cultivating his Young Money roster, which eventually introduced future icons like Nicki Minaj and Drake to the public. Fast forward to 2014, Lil Wayne hopped on Twitter to air out his grievances with CashMoney Records after discovering that his long-awaited album, The Carter 5, had been pushed back yet again. On January 25, 2015, amidst conflicting reports regarding the release status of The Carter 5, Lil Wayne declared a $51 million lawsuit against CashMoney. The legal action alleged that Birdman had violated the terms of Lil Wayne's contract by preventing the release of the album. The lawsuit additionally aimed to terminate Lil Wayne's contract with CashMoney, along with the contracts of his Young Money artists. Years after the initial fractures of CashMoney Records, hope began to stir once again for a Hot Boyz reunion. In 2012, Turk was released from prison, sparking anticipation of the group's return. Not long after, a glimmer of unity emerged when Turk managed to bring together Wayne, Juvenile, and even BG from behind bars on a track titled Zip It. Juvenile himself returned to CashMoney after his stint with Atlantic Records, and rumors swirled about Turk rejoining the label as well. Fans began to dream again. Many believed that once BG was released, the Hot Boyz would finally reclaim their legacy. Concerts and events reignited the fire, with Juvenile, Wayne, and Turk appearing on stage together, the most notable being at the 2017 NBA All-Star Weekend, where they reunited alongside Mannie Fresh. For a brief moment, it felt like the Hot Boyz were back. In 2023, the long-awaited release of BG from prison set the stage for what many believed would be the long-overdue reunion of the Hot Boyz. After years of separation and turmoil, fans hoped that the iconic group would finally come back together. But as soon as BG walked out a free man, it became clear that the road to reunion was still filled with obstacles. Rumors of internal strife persisted. A growing spat between Juvenile and Turk surfaced, while Mannie Fresh and Turk were reportedly at odds as well. Perhaps most concerning, Turk's relationship with Birdman appeared irreparable.
My niggas. Last but not least, I want to ask you, everybody want to know about the Hot Boy reunion. The last time the Hot Boys probably on tour was like 2000, the group disbanded. This band in 2001. What can we expect the tour to be, and who can we expect to see on the CashMoney Hot Boy reunion tour?
We definitely going on tour. I'm putting up $100 million for it myself. We're going on tour, but one thing for certain, two things for sure. I ain't guaranteed that it's gonna be everybody. That's just, I'm standing on business, and that's what it is. But you know, if it work out, it work out. If it don't, it don't. But we definitely gonna get that money. That's for a fact. But I don't think it's gonna be everybody. And personally, you hear me? Shit, I really don't give a fuck. As long as we get it, we gonna get it. The main player's gonna be there.
Turk, often at the center of controversy, became the focal point of much of the tension. His frequent appearances on podcasts and interviews, where he openly discussed the group's internal affairs, seemed to alienate the other members. Whether intentional or not, his public comments likely added fuel to the fire, further distancing him from his former bandmates. Through it all, Wayne remained notably silent. Dealing with personal health issues and staying out of the public fray, he largely avoided engaging in the drama. Meanwhile, BG wasted no time getting back to work. Fresh out of prison, he returned to the studio, releasing music with a hunger that suggested he had never left the game. But the hope for a reunion took another hit when BG released a song in which he openly dissed Wayne, calling him a bitch. The diss came as a shock, seemingly out of nowhere, but it quickly became clear that BG harbored feelings of disappointment. He expected more love and support from Wayne after his release, and felt let down when that didn't happen. This unexpected rift further dampened hopes of a Hot Boyz comeback. Then came another blow. During a live stream with Whack 100, Turk seemingly agreed to the idea that BG had cooperated with authorities, an accusation that could destroy any trust between the two. This suggestion of snitching cast a shadow over BG's return and further complicated an already fragile situation. As 2023 unfolded, the dream of a Hot Boyz reunion, once so tantalizingly close, seemed more distant than ever, leaving fans questioning whether the legendary group would ever find their way back to each other. The long-rumored reunion of the iconic Cash Money group, the Hot Boyz, was poised to be a historic moment. Fans waited with bated breath for the return of a lineup that once redefined Southern hip-hop. But what unfolded on the Essence Fest stage wasn't quite the harmonious reunion everyone anticipated. In the weeks leading up to the event, Essence announced an all-star gathering of Cash Money legends: Birdman, Mannie Fresh, Lil Wayne, Juvenile, and BG. The promise of unity and nostalgia lit up social media, igniting a wave of anticipation. Yet, when the moment came on July 5th, the reunion felt fractured. Original Hot Boyz member Turk was notably absent. Lil Wayne, one of the group's most celebrated members, didn't join his bandmates during their set. Instead, he opted for a separate 20-minute solo performance after Juvenile and BG had left the stage. On September 3rd, 2024, Lil Wayne took to his X account to deliver a long-awaited announcement. The Hot Boyz reunion would finally take place at his annual Lil Louisiana Fest. The anticipation was palpable, and on November 2nd, fans witnessed history at the Smoothie King Center in New Orleans. For the first time in years, the legendary rap quartet, Lil Wayne, BG, Turk, and Juvenile, shared the stage, joined by the iconic Big Timers duo, Birdman and Mannie Fresh. Together, they delivered a powerhouse performance, blending individual hits with the timeless tracks that defined an era. After the show, Mannie Fresh confirmed what fans had been hoping for. The group had reconciled, ensuring more performances featuring all members moving forward. Following the success of their Lil Louisiana Fest reunion, the Hot Boyz are set to take the stage once again. On Saturday, December 21st, 2024, Houston will host a night of nostalgia and celebration as the Hot Boyz and Big Timers bring the magic of Cash Money Records to life once more.